The Forbidden Lecture. The alien students sat quietly in the large, circular classroom, their eyes fixed on the instructor standing at the front. The room was filled with beings from all corners of the galaxy, each species unique in its own way. Some had many eyes, others long tentacles, and a few even glowed in the dark. But today, they all had one thing in common: curiosity. The instructor, a tall, imposing figure from the planet Xyla, began the lecture with a deep voice that echoed through the room. Today's lesson is about humanity, the most mysterious and forbidden species in the galaxy. A murmur of surprise rippled through the students. They had heard about humans before, but only in whispers. Most of the galaxy considered them a primitive, backward species, barely capable of space travel. Their technology was nothing compared to the great civilizations that ruled the stars. Yet there was something about them that the Galactic Council, the highest governing body in the galaxy, had feared for centuries. The instructor continued, pacing back and forth. Humans are not allowed to participate in galactic wars. They've been banned from fighting alongside any species in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. But the question is, why? The students looked at each other, puzzled. Why would a species be banned from fighting? Asked one of the students, a young, wide-eyed creature from the planet Cyril. The instructor stopped and turned to face the class. It's not because they lack strength or courage, he said, his voice lowering to a serious tone. Humans were once considered one of the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but for very different reasons than you might think. The room grew silent as the students waited for the instructor to explain. It was rare for the Galactic Council to discuss the history of humanity. Most records had been sealed long ago, and those who spoke of humans usually dismissed them as a weak species, unworthy of attention. The instructor pressed a button on the wall, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a human, a soldier, standing on a battlefield. The soldier was covered in blood, holding a weapon that looked old and worn. Yet there was something fierce about his eyes. The hologram flickered, and a voice echoed through the room. "This is Sergeant Thomas Walker," the instructor said. "He fought in the Great War, a war that almost destroyed the entire galaxy." The students gasped. They had never heard of a war like that before. What could humans possibly have done to cause such destruction? The hologram continued, showing scenes of chaos and battle. Alien species, far more advanced than humans, were shown retreating in fear. The soldiers in the hologram were outnumbered, but they never stopped fighting. They fought with a ferocity that shocked even the most powerful civilizations. "Humans," the instructor said, his tone now grim, "do not fight like other species. They do not fight for glory, power, or land. They fight for survival, and they will not stop until they win, no matter the cost." The students exchanged uneasy glances. It was one thing to fight for power, but it was another to fight with such desperation. The instructor moved closer to the hologram, pointing to the human soldier. "This is why the Galactic Council banned humanity from the war. Their unpredictability, their ability to fight with no regard for their own safety, made them too dangerous. They do not follow the rules of war that the rest of the galaxy abides by. They fight in a way that no one can predict. And that," the instructor paused for effect, "is something that terrifies even the most powerful species in the galaxy." The students were stunned. They had always thought of humans as weak, but now they were learning something completely different. They weren't weak. They were strong, stronger than anyone had realized. But why had they been banned? Was it out of fear, or was there another reason? The instructor saw the confusion in their eyes and smiled. "Your assignment for today is simple," he said. "I want each of you to research the history of humanity. Find out why they were banned from galactic war. What did the Galactic Council know that we don't? And most importantly, what is the true reason they were never allowed to fight alongside us?" The students looked at the instructor, eager to start their research. There was something about this story that didn't add up, and they were determined to uncover the truth. As the students left the classroom, The excitement in the air was palpable. They had just scratched the surface of a mystery that had been hidden for centuries. What they didn't know was that their search for the truth would uncover a shocking revelation, one that could change the entire galaxy forever. Uncovering the old record. The students hurried through the academy halls, their minds racing with questions. The lecture they had just attended had left them unsettled, filled with a sense of mystery. They had always been taught that humanity was nothing more than a primitive species, incapable of understanding the vastness of the galaxy. But now, they had learned that there was much more to the story, something that had been hidden for centuries. As they entered the archives, the cool, dimly lit room greeted them. The walls were lined with rows of ancient datapads and records from all over the galaxy. The smell of dust and old technology filled the air. The archives were a place of knowledge, but also a place of secrets. Only the most trusted beings were allowed access to the deepest records. And today, the students had been given permission to search for something forbidden. Zara, a young alien from the planet Glynn, led the group. She was determined to uncover the truth, no matter how dangerous it might be. She approached a large terminal at the far end of the room and began to search for the records about humanity. Her fingers flew over the keys, her heart racing as she typed. "Found it," Zara exclaimed. The others crowded around her, eager to see what she had uncovered. On the screen appeared a list of old records, most of them sealed with the highest security measures. "There's a record here," Zara said, tapping on a file titled Humanity's Exclusion from Galactic War, classified. The file seemed old, its text faded, but the title alone was enough to send a chill down their spines. They had found it, the very thing the Galactic Council had tried to hide. Zara entered the passcode, one she had gained access to during their studies. The screen flickered as the file opened, revealing a collection of documents that had been buried for centuries. The first document was a detailed account of a human soldier named Sergeant Thomas Walker. But this time, the story wasn't about his courage or bravery. Instead, it was about the war that almost tore the galaxy apart. Zara and the others began reading quickly. The file described how humanity had been involved in the Great War, a conflict that nearly destroyed the galactic peace. The war had begun when humans, living on a distant planet, had been attacked by a powerful alien race. But instead of surrendering, humans fought back. They fought with everything they had, pushing the invaders to the brink of defeat. But what stood out in the records was the way humans fought. Unlike any other species in the galaxy, humans fought without any care for their own lives. They didn't fight for land or resources. They fought for survival, and they fought with a ferocity that no one had seen before. Even after the war was over, the scars left by humanity's involvement could still be seen across the galaxy. "What are they hiding?" whispered one of the students, a small, timid creature from the planet Zorith. Why would they erase this from history? The answer was simple, but unsettling. The Galactic Council had erased humanity's involvement in the war because of one thing: fear. The Council was afraid of humanity's potential, afraid that if humans were allowed to participate in future wars, they would upset the balance of power across the galaxy. The humans' unrelenting drive to win, no matter the cost, had made the galactic powers uneasy. "They didn't just fear us. They feared what we could become," Zara said quietly, her voice trembling. "They didn't want us to be part of the galactic wars because they knew that if humanity ever had the chance, they would rise up and take control." As they continued to read, the records revealed even more shocking details. It wasn't just humanity's ferocity that worried the Council, it was the humans' ability to adapt. The records showed that no matter what technology or enemy they faced, humans found a way to overcome it. They could adapt to any environment, any situation, and defeat opponents far more advanced than themselves. One document described an encounter between humans and a species called the Varox, a race of highly intelligent, technologically advanced aliens. The Varox had thought they could easily defeat humanity with their superior weapons. But instead, the humans turned the tide of the battle by using the Viroqs' own technology against them. The Viroqs had underestimated humanity, and in the end, they paid the price. That's why they were banned. Zara whispered, her eyes wide with realization. It wasn't about their technology. It was about how unpredictable they are. The Council couldn't control them, so they decided to keep them out of the war completely. But as Zara read on, something else caught her eye. The final document in the record wasn't about humanity's past. It was a warning about what could happen if the humans ever learned the truth. The Galactic Council had been keeping humanity's potential hidden, not just to protect the galaxy, but to protect themselves. If humanity ever discovered what they were truly capable of, the galaxy might never be the same again. The students sat in stunned silence. The truth was more terrifying than they could have imagined. Humanity had been banned from the galactic wars, not because they were weak, but because they were too powerful. And now, the students realized the time for hiding the truth was running out. "We have to tell someone," one of the students said, his voice shaking. "The galaxy needs to know." Zara nodded slowly. "But what if telling the truth is more dangerous than keeping it hidden? What if the Council comes after us?" The group hesitated, unsure of what to do next. They had uncovered the truth, but now they had to decide whether to reveal it or keep quiet. But one thing was certain: the mystery of humanity was far from over. And the students had just begun to understand the real reason humanity was banned from galactic war. The truth about humanity's power. The days following their discovery in the archives were filled with tension. Zara and her fellow students could not stop thinking about what they had uncovered. Humanity was far more powerful and dangerous than they had been led to believe. The Galactic Council had hidden the truth about humans for a reason: fear. The students gathered once again in the Academy's common room, their eyes wide with curiosity and concern. Zara stood at the front, her face pale but determined. "We need to understand more. We've only seen a glimpse of what humans can do. There's still so much we don't know." Her words hung in the air. The truth about humanity's power was more than just their ability to fight. It was about their resilience, their refusal to give up, no matter the odds. But there was one thing the students still didn't fully understand. How could such a seemingly weak species be so unstoppable? "We need to look for more records," Zara suggested. "We've seen enough to know that humanity is different from any species in the galaxy, but there's still so much we don't know. We need to learn about their strategies, their history, everything." The group agreed, and they returned to the archives once again, determined to dig deeper. This time, they focused on humanity's military history. They searched for details about humanity's wars, their battles, their enemies. What they found shocked them even further. Zara tapped on the screen, and a new record appeared. This one was older than the previous ones, its edges worn and faded. It was a report from an ancient battle known as the Battle of Sol. The report detailed an encounter between humanity and a much stronger alien force, an enemy that had wiped out entire fleets with ease. The humans, however, refused to back down. In the record, a human general named Commander Ryan Michaels was described as leading a small fleet of ships into battle against an overwhelming alien force. The aliens, known as the Karath, were infamous for their superior technology and ruthless tactics. They had destroyed countless civilizations, and no one had ever managed to defeat them. But humanity, under the command of General Michaels, fought back with everything they had. The report detailed how General Michaels used the Karath's own tactics against them, turning the battle into a fierce and unpredictable conflict. The humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the Karath didn't: imagination. They used old, outdated technology in ways the Karath couldn't predict. They set traps, created ambushes, and fought with such intensity that the Karath didn't know how to respond. "They didn't even have the best weapons," Zara said, her voice filled with disbelief. "They used what they had, and they made it work." Another record appeared on the screen, this time about a different battle: the Battle of Mars. This time, humanity faced a completely different challenge, a race of telepathic aliens known as the Trollgar. The Trollgar were able to read the minds of their enemies, making them almost unbeatable in battle. But humanity, once again, found a way to adapt. In the record, it described how humanity used their ingenuity to create weapons that disrupted the Trollgar's telepathy. They built devices that scrambled their psychic signals, allowing them to fight without being controlled by the Trollgar's minds. It was a simple solution, but it worked. The humans had found a way to level the playing field, using their knowledge and determination, rather than relying on superior technology. "It's incredible," one of the students said, shaking his head. "Every time we think they're at a disadvantage, they find a way to win." Zara nodded. "It's not just their technology. It's how they think, how they never give up, no matter how hopeless the situation seems. That's what makes them so dangerous." The more the students read, the more they realize that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or technology. It was their ability to adapt. They could face any enemy, any situation, and find a way to survive. They had an unyielding will to win, and no matter how impossible the odds, they never gave up. "This is why the Galactic Council is so afraid of them," Zara said. "Humanity isn't like any other species. They don't follow the rules of war. They don't follow any rules. They'll do whatever it takes to win." The students were beginning to understand. Humanity's power wasn't just in their physical strength or their technology. It was in their mindset. They didn't fight to win for glory or power. They fought to survive. And that made them unstoppable. One of the students, a quiet alien from the planet Xyla, spoke up. "But why did the council ban them? If they're so powerful, why not let them fight alongside us?" Zara thought for a moment. "I think the council is scared. They know that if humanity were allowed to fight in the galactic wars, they would change everything. They would disrupt the balance of power. No one would be able to control them." The truth was clear now. The Galactic Council had banned humanity because they were too unpredictable, too dangerous. And the more the students learned, the more they realized that the Council's fear wasn't just about war, it was about control. If humanity ever learned the full extent of their power, they could change the entire galaxy. The students sat in silence, reflecting on what they had uncovered. The truth about humanity's power was more terrifying than they could have imagined. But it also made them wonder, if humanity could be so powerful, what could they accomplish if they were allowed to fight alongside the galaxy's greatest forces? "Maybe it's time we told the galaxy the truth," Zara said, her voice steady but full of uncertainty. The group exchanged nervous glances. They knew the risks. If they exposed the truth about humanity, there was no telling what might happen. But one thing was certain: humanity's story was far from over, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The dangerous decision. Zara and the students sat in the quiet room, the weight of their discovery pressing down on them. They had learned the truth. Humanity wasn't a weak, primitive species. They were powerful, unpredictable, and dangerous. But the more they learned, the more they realized they couldn't keep this knowledge to themselves. The truth had to be shared, even if it meant facing the consequences. Zara paced back and forth, her mind racing. "We can't just sit on this information anymore. The galaxy needs to know what humanity is capable of." "But how do we tell them?" asked Cairo, a student from the planet Syra. He was nervous, his voice shaking. "If we expose the truth, we could be putting ourselves in danger. The council will do everything to stop us." Zara stopped pacing and looked at the group. She could see the fear in their eyes. They all knew the risks. The Galactic Council had a vast network of spies and agents who would hunt down anyone who dared to challenge their authority. If they were caught trying to expose the truth about humanity, it could mean their lives. "We have to be careful," Zara said, her voice steady. "But we also have to act. Humanity deserves to know that they were not just banned because they were weak. They were banned because they were too strong. and the rest of the galaxy needs to know that. The students nodded, though doubt still lingered in their minds. The idea of defying the Galactic Council was terrifying, but the truth was far too important to keep hidden. Cairo spoke up again, his voice quiet. What if the Council finds out? What if they come after us? Zara's gaze hardened. Then we'll face the consequences, but we can't be afraid. If we don't act, then who will? The room fell silent as the students considered her words. They had all been taught to follow the rules, to respect the power of the Galactic Council. But now, they were being asked to do something far more dangerous, to challenge the authority they had always trusted. It was a decision that would change their lives forever. We need to find someone who can help us, Zara continued. Someone who has the power to make a difference. If we can't get the truth out through the Council, then we'll have to go directly to the leaders of the galaxy. One of the students, a quiet alien named Ryle, raised his hand. What about the Neutral Coalition? They're not part of the Council, right? They could help us. Zara nodded thoughtfully. The Neutral Coalition was a group of independent planets and species who had long stayed out of the galactic wars. They weren't controlled by the Council and were often seen as an unbiased force. If anyone could help them, it would be the Coalition. That's a good idea, Ryle, Zara said. We'll need to contact them and convince them that the truth about humanity is something that must be shared. But we'll have to move fast. The longer we wait, the more danger we're in. The group agreed, and they began making plans. They would contact the Neutral Coalition in secret, using a hidden communication channel to avoid detection. It was a risky move, but it was their only chance. As they worked, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into something much bigger than they had anticipated. The Galactic Council would not let them expose the truth about humanity without a fight. And once the truth was out, there would be no turning back. The balance of power in the galaxy could be shattered forever. Zora paused, her fingers hovering over the console as she prepared to send the message to the Neutral Coalition. She felt a cold sweat on the back of her neck. This was it, the moment of truth. Once the message was sent, there would be no going back. The galaxy would either accept humanity for what they were, or they would face a war unlike anything they had ever seen before. She hit the button. The message was sent. There was a moment of silence as the students looked at each other, waiting for a response. The tension in the air was thick, like the calm before a storm. Suddenly, the console beeped. A message from the Neutral Coalition had arrived. Zora quickly read the message, her heart pounding in her chest. The response was unexpected. "We are aware of the truth you seek to expose," the message read, "and we are willing to help. But you must understand this. Once the galaxy learns the truth about humanity, there will be no turning back. The galaxy will be forever changed. Are you ready to face the consequences of revealing this secret?" Zara stared at the message in shock. The Coalition knew. They had known all along. And now, they were offering their help. But the question remained, was the galaxy ready for the truth? She looked around at her fellow students. Their faces were filled with a mix of fear and excitement. They had taken the first step, and there was no going back now. The galaxy would soon learn the truth about humanity. The truth that had been hidden for centuries. And nothing would ever be the same again. "We're ready," Zara said quietly, her voice full of determination. "We have to be." The students nodded in agreement, knowing that their decision had set them on a dangerous path. They had no way of knowing what would happen next, but one thing was certain. The truth about humanity's power was about to be unleashed, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Shockwave. The message had been sent, and the response was clear. Help was on its way. But Zara and her fellow students knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. The Neutral Coalition had agreed to assist them, but the weight of their decision hung heavily on their shoulders. Once the truth about humanity's power was revealed, the galaxy would change forever. And there was no telling what the Council would do in response. The next few days were filled with tense preparation. Zara and the students worked in secret, organizing their plan. They knew the risks all too well. If they were caught, they could face severe punishment or worse. The Galactic Council would stop at nothing to protect their secrets, and they would not hesitate to strike back at anyone who threatened to expose the truth. But despite the fear, there was a sense of determination among the group. They had uncovered something monumental, something that could change the course of the galaxy, and they were ready to take that risk. One evening, as the group gathered in their safe house, Zara stood before them, her expression serious. "The Neutral Coalition is ready. We've arranged for a live broadcast to be sent across the galaxy. It will go directly to every planet, every species, every government. The truth will be out for everyone to see." Cairo, who had been quiet for most of the meeting, spoke up. "What if the Council stops it? What if they have the power to block the broadcast?" Zara shook her head. "We've taken every precaution. The Coalition has powerful allies, and we've encrypted the broadcast in ways the Council won't be able to trace. This is our chance to make the truth known." The students nodded, though the weight of the moment was not lost on them. They were about to expose a secret that the Galactic Council had kept hidden for centuries. The truth about humanity's power, their ability to adapt and survive, was about to be broadcast to the entire galaxy. Zara turned to the console, her fingers hovering above the controls. "We can't back out now. We've made our decision. The galaxy will learn the truth." With a deep breath, she pressed the button. Across the galaxy, the broadcast began. It started with a simple message, a message from the students, explaining who they were and why they had decided to reveal the truth. Then came the records, the evidence of humanity's involvement in the Great War, their courage, and their ability to overcome any obstacle. The footage showed the battles, the strategies, the victories. It was a story of humanity's unyielding will, their refusal to be defeated, no matter the odds. The broadcast continued, revealing the hidden history of humanity's military strength. The battles against the Karath, the Trulgar, and other powerful alien forces. The ingenuity that allowed humans to defeat enemies far superior to them in technology. The way they had fought to survive, not for glory, but for the simple need to live. The records were undeniable. Humanity was far more powerful than anyone had ever realized. As the broadcast spread, the reactions came quickly. Some planets watched in disbelief, unable to accept what they were seeing. Others reacted with fear, knowing that the balance of power was about to shift. And some, especially those who had known about humanity's strength all along, prepared for the inevitable consequences. On the planet Glynn, where Zara and the students had once studied, a group of high-ranking officials watched the broadcast in silence. The Galactic Council had always believed that they controlled the flow of information, that they could manipulate the truth. But now, their secrets were exposed for all to see. "This is impossible," one of the officials muttered, watching the footage of humanity's battles. "How could they have kept this hidden for so long?" "They didn't," another official replied, his voice tight with anger. "Someone has exposed everything. The truth is out, and there's no going back now." The council leaders exchanged worried glances. The power they had held for so long was at risk. Humanity's rise could disrupt everything. If the truth spread, they would lose control of the galaxy. And there was only one thing the council feared more than anything else: losing control. Back at the safe house, Zara and her fellow students watched as the broadcast continued to spread. The responses from around the galaxy were coming in fast and furious. Some governments immediately called for meetings to discuss the implications of the truth. Some declared that humanity must be kept under control at all costs. Others, however, saw the potential for cooperation, realizing that humanity's abilities could change the course of galactic history. But even as the galaxy began to react to the broadcast, the students knew that they hadn't seen the worst of it yet. The Galactic Council would retaliate. They had too much to lose. and the students had just ignited a spark that could set off a chain of events no one could predict. "Do you think we've done the right thing?" Cairo asked quietly, his eyes still fixed on the screen. Zara hesitated for a moment before replying. "I hope so. The truth had to come out, even if it means facing the consequences. Humanity deserves to know who they really are." The room was silent as the broadcast continued to spread, the impact of their decision rippling across the galaxy. The truth about humanity was out. But now, the students had to prepare for what came next. The Council would not let this go easily. And the galaxy, already on the edge of chaos, was about to be rocked by a shockwave unlike anything it had ever experienced. The balance of power had shifted, and there was no turning back. The Council strikes back. The truth about humanity's strength had been exposed. The broadcast had spread across the galaxy like wildfire, and the response was overwhelming. Some planets called for unity, eager to work with humanity. Others, gripped by fear, demanded that humanity be controlled or even destroyed. The galaxy was in chaos, and Zara and the students knew they had only just begun to see the effects of their decision. But in the shadows, a darker force was stirring. The Galactic Council, now fully aware that their secrets had been revealed, was preparing to strike back. Zara and her fellow students gathered in the safe house, their faces filled with a mixture of concern and determination. They knew the Council would not let this go unpunished. The Council had always controlled the galaxy's information, and now their power was at risk. They would do anything to protect their rule, even if it meant destroying those who had dared to expose the truth. Zara stood at the front of the room, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "We can't wait for the Council to make their move. They'll be coming for us, and we need to be ready." Cairo, who had been quiet for most of the meeting, spoke up. "But what can we do? The Council has more power than we ever realized. They control entire fleets. They could wipe us out before we even get the chance to fight back." Zara's eyes darkened. "We don't need to fight them directly. We need to make sure the galaxy knows the truth. Humanity's power can't be ignored. The Council may try to silence us, but they can't silence everyone. The truth is already out there, and it will spread. We just have to make sure the galaxy is ready to stand up to the Council." As the group discussed their options, a message arrived, an encrypted communication from the Neutral Coalition. Zara quickly opened it, her heart pounding. The message was clear. The Council had already started mobilizing its forces. "They're coming for us," Zara said, her voice grim. "The Council is sending their agents to hunt us down. They'll stop at nothing to silence the truth. We can't let them do that." Ryle, the quiet alien student, said firmly, "We've already done the hard part. We've exposed the truth. Now we have to make sure humanity knows they're not alone. The galaxy can't go back to how it was." Zara nodded, her mind racing. "The Neutral Coalition has offered their help, but we need more. We need to rally more support to make sure the galaxy knows that humanity is not a threat to be feared, but an ally to be embraced. If we stand together, the Council won't be able to control us." The students quickly made plans to reach out to the leaders of other planets and organizations. They used encrypted channels to contact those who had supported humanity's cause, making sure the truth remained in the open. But even as they worked, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that the Council's retaliation was coming soon, and when it did, it would be swift and brutal. Meanwhile, in the Council's secret headquarters on the planet Glynn, the leaders of the Galactic Council were preparing their response. The exposure of humanity's power had thrown the entire galaxy into turmoil, and they could not allow this chaos to continue. "We cannot let this stand," one of the Council leaders, a tall, silver-skinned alien named Oran, said coldly. "These students have uncovered a truth that threatens everything we've worked for. If humanity realizes its potential, it will upset the balance of power. The galaxy will no longer be ours to control." Another Council member, a woman with deep purple skin named Sira, nodded. We have already begun mobilizing our fleets. We will hunt down these students and anyone who dares to support them. We will show the galaxy that the Council's power cannot be challenged. But what about the truth? Auran asked. How do we erase what has already been broadcast? The galaxy has seen it. We will control the narrative, Syrah said with a cruel smile. The truth is only what we allow it to be. We will discredit these students and spin the story in a way that makes humanity seem dangerous, unpredictable. We will make the galaxy fear them. The Council's plan was set into motion. They began sending their fleets to key planets, ready to silence anyone who spoke out in support of humanity. But the students weren't going to make it easy for them. They had already spread the truth far and wide, and they knew that the Council's power was not as absolute as it once seemed. As Zara and the students continued their work, a message arrived from an unexpected source, a former Council officer who had defected. The message was short and to the point. The Council is coming for you. They are planning a full-scale operation to capture you and silence all those who support you. They will stop at nothing. Zara's heart sank. The Council's retaliation was more serious than she had imagined, but she refused to back down. We can't let them win, she said firmly. We've started something bigger than ourselves. If we don't fight for the truth now, we will lose everything we've worked for. The students rallied together, preparing for the battle ahead. They knew the Council would come for them, but they also knew that they had something the Council didn't: the truth. And the truth had already set the galaxy on a path that the Council couldn't control. As the Council's forces began to close in, Zara and her fellow students prepared for the final confrontation. The stakes had never been higher, but they were determined to stand their ground. The truth about humanity's power was out, and there was no turning back. The Council may have been powerful, but they had underestimated one thing: the strength of those who fought for what was right. The final stand. The galaxy was on the brink of chaos. The truth about humanity's power had been exposed, and the response was overwhelming. Some planets embraced the revelation, while others trembled in fear. But one thing was certain: the balance of power had shifted, and there was no going back. Zara and her fellow students stood in the war room, preparing for the Council's final strike. They knew it was coming. The Council's fleets were already on the move, their forces ready to crush anyone who dared oppose them. The students had fought to reveal the truth, but now they had to fight to protect it. We don't have much time, Syrah said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. The Council will be here soon. We need to make sure we're ready for whatever they throw at us. Cairo, always the strategist, stepped forward. We've already rallied support from the Neutral Coalition, and we've sent messages to the leaders who support humanity. But we can't do this alone. We need to unite the galaxy, every planet, every species that believes in the truth we've uncovered. Ryle, the quiet alien student, nodded. We've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Now we need to make sure they stand with us. The Council will try to twist the truth, but if we stand together, they can't control us. Zara nodded, her gaze hardening. She knew the stakes were higher than ever. The Council would not back down. They had too much to lose. But Zara also knew that humanity's potential was greater than anything the Council could have imagined. If they could unite the galaxy, if they could convince enough species to stand with them, the Council's power could be broken. As the students continued their preparations, a message arrived. It was from the Neutral Coalition, confirming that their fleets were on standby, ready to defend the truth. The Coalition had been waiting for this moment, and now they were ready to fight alongside humanity. But even with their allies, the students knew they were outnumbered. The Council's fleets were vast, and their forces were formidable. It would be a battle like no other. We can't wait any longer, Zara said, her voice resolute. We need to take the fight to them. The students, now more determined than ever, began preparing for the final stand. They would not let the Council erase the truth. They would not let them silence the voices of those who had fought for what was right. As they made their way to the front lines, Zora looked out at the galaxy. She saw the ships of the neutral coalition, ready to engage the Council's forces. But she also saw something else. Humanity's fleet, once underestimated, now ready to fight with everything they had. The truth about humanity's power had united them all. The battle began. The sound of laser fire and explosions filled the air as the two fleets collided. The students fought alongside the coalition forces, directing their ships and coordinating their attacks. It was a chaotic scene, but there was a sense of purpose in the air. This wasn't just a battle for control of the galaxy. It was a battle for the future, a battle for the truth. Zara's heart raced as she commanded her ship. She knew the risks, but she also knew the stakes. The Council would stop at nothing to maintain their grip on power, but humanity had something they didn't, a fierce will to survive, to fight for what was right. Cairo was beside her, his hand steady on the controls. "We're holding our ground," he said, his voice calm despite the chaos around them. "But we need to push forward. We can't let the Council regain control." Zara nodded. "Keep pushing. We have to keep them on the defensive. We've come too far to back down now." As the battle raged on, the students saw the tide of the fight begin to turn. The Council's ships were beginning to falter. Their once dominant fleets were now struggling to keep up with the combined forces of humanity and the neutral coalition. The truth about humanity's power had given them an edge, an advantage the Council had never expected. But the fight was far from over. The Council's flagship, a massive warship known as the Vigilance, loomed in the distance. It was their last remaining stronghold, the heart of their military power. If they could destroy the Vigilance, the Council's control would crumble. "We need to take down the Vigilance," Zara said, her voice filled with determination. "If we can destroy it, the Council will lose their hold on the galaxy." The students launched a final, coordinated assault on the flagship. Their ships raced toward the Vigilance, dodging fire as they closed in on their target. The battle was intense, but they pushed forward, refusing to give up. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Zora's ship fired the final shot. A massive explosion erupted as the Vigilance was destroyed, sending shockwaves through the galaxy. The Council's forces began to retreat, their once mighty fleet falling apart in the face of humanity's determination. The battle was over. The truth had won. As the dust settled, Zara and the students looked out at the galaxy, knowing that the future had changed forever. The Council had been defeated, and the truth about humanity's power was now undeniable. No longer would humanity be underestimated or feared. They had proven their strength, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Zara turned to her fellow students, her face filled with pride. "We did it. The truth has won." Cairo nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "We've changed the galaxy forever." And with that, the students knew that their fight had been worth it. The galaxy had learned the truth about humanity, and the future was now theirs to shape.